Hello and welcome to a special video all about the Tesla Cybertruck. It's been a while since the last train, drone, and Porsche 914 videos, so I'm happy to bring this to you. Please feed the YouTube algorithm by giving the video a like. If you want to see more like this, click subscribe and ring the bell to be notified of new videos. If you want to chip in on my expenses, I now have Patreon and YouTube memberships. I'm thinking that maybe some of you who watch my channel are not aware of the minutiae of what's happening at Tesla and within the product line. Well, they've had a new product in the works since 2018, and now it's finally announced in production, and as of now, May 2024, it's shipping at the rate of over 1,000 a week. No, it's not the Tesla Optimus robot, which the Sirius Cybernetics Corporation will call your plastic pal who's fun to be with. No, I might make a separate video about that. No, it's the Cybertruck. Now, you may have heard the name or seen a picture or two or video, but there's so much more than the skin-deep craziness that you can see at first glance. So, in my tradition of deep technical discussions, let's take a look at the huge list of innovative technologies in this truck, stuff that makes the Cybertruck even wilder than you could possibly imagine. For those of you who haven't heard about the Cybertruck or never saw a picture before, you're seeing it now from the first reveal event in November of 2019. Yeah, it's real. Crazy, right? I was watching the reveal live, and I thought it was a joke that Elon was playing on us when he drove it onto the stage. Then I realized that, yeah, this is it. They actually did it. Mind blown. Only Tesla would have the audacity to design something this radical and know that people would buy it. As you're watching, think about any other vehicle on the road that has any of these features, because that's going to be a very short list. I was in Denver over the Christmas holidays and heard that Tesla had a Cybertruck on display in a nearby showroom. And of course I had to head over to see it. At that point, there were only a handful being delivered to customers. Okay, let's just admit this and get out of the way. It's weird. You either love it or you hate it. It's a giant metal triangle. It's a Hot Wheels designer fever dream. It's a DeLorean pickup truck. It's Elon, the time traveler, returning from the year 2500. A lot of people initially hated it and then warmed up to it, but some still hate it. It's hard to visualize the size of it. From the video, it looks massive, but in person, it's actually smaller than a Ford F-150 and can fit in most garages. Well, I'm in the showroom now, and here it is. Okay, so why does it look like this? Elon wanted it to look like the future, not just another anonymous pickup truck. Tesla's lead designer, Franz von Holzhausen, and his design team lined up the major US pickup trucks and took the maker's badging off. And it was hard to tell which was which. They're all generically huge, chunky, and macho looking. Franz started sketching out a radical new design and then built a mock-up. And when Elon saw it, he immediately said, yes, this is it. It's important to know that this one is not a hand-built prototype for show. This is a production truck being delivered to a customer in the next few days in December of 2023. So this is exactly the final look and feel of the vehicle. Now that you've seen it once, let's walk around again to familiarize ourselves with it before I dive into the details. The front trunk lid, known as the frunk, is flat, and every other body panel is flat. Flat. This style is driven by the constraints of trying to bend thick sheets of stainless steel, and I'll talk about that in a minute. There's one body panel on the truck that's not flat, Can you spot it? It looks to me like the windshield is dead flat too, and you get a good view of the massive single windshield wiper with fluid nozzles along its length. And when not in use, it rests vertically for minimal air disruption. The light bar going across the front is actually an LED running light strip, not the headlights. Per US law, headlights must be fixed in place on the chassis, but the frunk lid goes up and down. So the headlights, therefore, are actually located between the bottom of the frunk lid and the bumper. You almost can't see them, but they're there. Set into the front bumper are two tow hooks that you can use to pull less fortunate drivers out of ditches and riverbanks and snowbanks. The side view mirrors are triangular and small to reduce air resistance. Elon said they're forced by regulations to include them, but you can remove them with 3 screws. You can then use the rear-facing camera on each side to give you the necessary views while driving. Now we get a view of the huge 35-inch tires and the plastic fender flares. The wheel covers were later found to be rubbing against the sidewall of the tire, so they were withdrawn and customers would be given a replacement. As we swing around to the side, you can see the triangular shape of the roofline, coming to a point for maximum headroom inside. For those who have criticized Tesla's body panel alignment in the past, I dare you to find a flaw in the gaps on this machine. Elon told the engineers and assembly line team to measure the mismatches in single-digit microns. A micron is a millionth of a meter. This is rocket engine precision stuff here, folks. One thing missing on the door is a handle or lock of any kind. They decided to put a small button on the black pillar just above the door, which causes the door to pop open, in conjunction, of course, with the security of your phone being tied to the truck, as is the case with all other Teslas. This saves punching a hole in the stainless steel panel and mounting a handle mechanism of some kind. As Elon likes to say, the best part is no part. As we look to the rear door, the roof is sloping down, but there's still headroom and legroom for large adults. The design motif continues with a completely flat slope from the peak all the way back to the tailgate, and you can see the tailgate itself is completely flat. As we swing around to the rear, you can see the brake lights on the extreme right and left sides. They stay fixed to the body while the tailgate folds down. Just under the center strip, you might be able to see the rear view camera. And since there's no visibility through a rear window when the tonneau cover is in place, the rear camera view is shown on the big screen. Looking at the bumper, there's a trailer hitch mounting point available, plus a trailer braking and lighting system is already installed, and it's all accessed and controlled through the big screen, making setup for towing a breeze. As expected, the driver's side is as flat as the passenger side. And if you look closely, you'll see a small section in the rear fender flare that pops open for access to the charging port. All right, the shock of the shape hopefully has now worn off, so let's talk about the rest of the revolutionary stuff. Beyond being just flat, the other striking thing about the exterior is the use of stainless steel, done only once before by DeLorean in a very low volume product. Tesla and SpaceX worked together to make a tough steel alloy that fit the needs of the project. Sandy Munro took a tour of the Cybertruck assembly line, and you can see the rolls of stainless steel and the massive machines that cut and bend it. As a direct result of this is that the steel can only bend in one direction on a machine using, believe it or not, a hydraulic press with a cushion of air to prevent marking the finish. You cannot bend it one way and then across because it would buckle and wrinkle. And this essentially forced the shape of the vehicle. This steel skin means no paint chips. It's dent resistant and easier to repair. If you get a surface mark, just gently rub it with some sandpaper. And if you're not a fan of the stainless, you can do a vinyl wrap. and people are already doing that. A side effect of this is the door panels are bulletproof against several types of guns, so you're good in the coming zombie apocalypse. And a few weeks before the launch, Elon went on the Joe Rogan show, and Joe shot it with his armor-piercing arrow, and it just bounced off. It's described as an exoskeleton because the steel panels bolt onto the die-cast subframe, but they provide a strong outer shell not available with standard steel or aluminum body cars. The interior has a standard Tesla style, but with 2 front bucket seats and a flat console between them, looking straight into an 18.5-inch touchscreen with another 9.4-inch touchscreen in the back. Currently, there's no option for a middle front seat. As with all Teslas, there's a front-to-back glass roof. It's got fold-up rear seats with storage underneath, and like the Model Y, the seats are bolted to the top of the battery pack and the whole assembly is inserted from below on the manufacturing line. Now we can see the huge front and rear screens and a new steering wheel design, which is flattened at the top and the bottom, but not quite as radical as the yoke that can be found in the latest Model S and X. Now, don't be fooled. This is a real pickup truck designed to do real work. Let's start with the frunk, as all Teslas have. This one's a little on the smaller side compared to the Ford F-150 Lightning, but you can still fill it with groceries or a bag of golf clubs. And there's no barrier lip in front, so you have full slide-in, easy access for your stuff getting in and out. And it's powered for opening and closing. Now you've got a good view of the motorized, retractable tonneau cover that completely and securely holds everything you're storing in the bed. They are aluminum bars, so they're very strong and difficult to break into. People using this as a work truck won't have to worry about getting their tools stolen during the night, which is a major problem for other pickups. The cover is controlled by an up and down button built into the left side. The bed itself can fit a full sheet of plywood since it's 4 feet wide and 6 feet long, for a total of 67 cubic feet of lockable storage that can handle a load up to 2,500 pounds. Plus, there's a substantial under-bed storage area with a drain hole, so this could be your ice area for tailgating or anything you want to store but don't need instant access to. You have to put the tailgate down to pick up a full load of plywood or drywall sheets. Okay, now let's move to the loading and towing capabilities. If you happen to run a rocket company, you can use it to tow your rocket engines around the launch facility. And if you've got an even stronger towing requirement, you can see how it stands up to a Ford F-150 Lightning, an electric Rivian, and the king of truck pulls, the F-350 diesel. Trust me, it will handle any hauling needs you could possibly come up with. Now, your travel distance will likely be cut in half with a big trailer, so always plan your trips to make good use of the 25,000 supercharger plugs in North America. There's an air suspension system with individual control of the front and rear axles. And there are several adjustable suspension heights driven by the settings on the big screen. It has a maximum 17-inch true ground clearance, and you can drive over 2 stacked soccer balls without rubbing the bottom. That should be good enough for all but the most brutal off-road terrain. Other pickup trucks claim high ground clearance, but it's a bit of a white lie due to the differential cases which always stick down and can hit rocks and give you a really bad day. Of course, it's a Tesla, so it's going to be amazingly fast. The 3-motor model called the Cyberbeast is faster than a Porsche 911, doing 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds. And if we wait until the end of the video, we see that it did it on an 1/8 mile track while towing another Porsche 911. Ouch. Turns out they couldn't go the full quarter mile due to the limited speed rating of the tires on the trailer. There will also be single and dual motor versions available with corresponding acceleration and loading values. Originally introduced on the Model Y, the Cybertruck continues with the design model of the entire front and rear of the chassis being made from injection molded aluminum castings. Elon looked at a matchbook car one day and said, "Why can't we mold the entire chassis of the car in one step?" The front casting is made on 6,500-ton gigapresses, which are shared with the Model Y. But the rear casting is made on a new 9,000-ton gigapress, specifically designed and built for Tesla by Idra in Italy. This concept reduces the chassis parts count from nearly 100 to 3, reducing manufacturing time, removing welding, riveting, and gluing steps, making the assembly line shorter and cheaper, and allowing for perfect alignment every time. Other car companies have seen the advantages and are flocking to the casting concept too. Tesla's next car is rumored to actually be made in one step, as we can see in this image from a patent filing, and we'll see if that comes to fruition. You may have seen the demo that went wrong in the original reveal event, with Franz throwing 2 steel balls at the window glass. Oops. Well, now Tesla says that it's shatter resistant to 70-mile-an-hour baseballs and Class 4 hail. And any chips will stay small and can be repaired with a cheap windshield repair kit. At this point, there seems to be 2 battery pack sizes, where the rear drive model getting 250 miles of range on the smaller pack, and the all-wheel drive and Cyber Beast getting 340 and 320 miles of range respectively, on a 120 kilowatt-hour battery pack, which is simply huge. The maximum towing load is 11,000 pounds. On top of that, later you'll be able to add a range extender battery, which is mounted in the bed of the truck, to get a total of 420 miles of range, which is going to help on long trips or heavy loads in towing. Federal and state rebates will be available, reducing the price you'll pay. For 2024, the federal rebate of as much as $7,500 is taken off directly from the purchase price, and you don't have to wait to claim it on your next tax return. So that's a great deal. Let's talk about steering, because this is another one of the super revolutionary technologies inside. Every vehicle on the road today has a metal bar connecting the steering wheel to the mechanism that adjusts the angle of the tires, usually through a rack and pinion system. The Cybertruck has what's called a steer-by-wire system with no such metal bar. It's the same system as modern jet aircraft. An electronic sensor reads the movements of the steering wheel and sends a signal to a computer, which drives small electric motors, which change the tire angle. Of course, there are redundant and backup parts in the system to avoid a failure. A huge benefit of this design is the computer can make the tires move more at low speeds, say while parking, and less at high speeds, like on the highway. And you only have to turn the wheel 1 revolution to get full lock-to-lock turning, not needing to spin it multiple times. The Cybertruck has rear wheel steering, also driven by another set of motors, which results in a turning circle a little smaller than that of a Model S. And a month ago, Tesla sent out a software update that makes the rear wheels turn even more, giving a smaller turning circle. This all benefits the driver's maneuvering in ways we couldn't get before in such a large vehicle. The next innovation is a complete redesign of the low voltage system. Every vehicle today runs a 12-volt system for every electrical component. The battery is 12 volts, the headlights, the window motors, the dashboard, and all the computers spread around the car that run all the other systems are 12 volts. Due to the power needs with increasing computerization, the wires are getting thicker and thicker, which translates into cost and weight. By redesigning every component to 48 volts, the wires can be 1/4 of the size. And this is not a trivial effort because Tesla had to redesign 48 volt versions of every system in the vehicle. In conjunction with this, they redesigned the data cabling into a single network loop that hits each component along the way, rather than the typical wiring harness that have dozens of specific wires and endpoints. Realizing that the entire automotive industry can benefit from the switch, Tesla sent a How to Design a 48 Volt Vehicle design guide to every car company. Jim Farley from Ford acknowledged receiving his copy and thanked Elon for starting the push into a 48 volt world. Simplify, simplify, simplify. The charging port is, of course, the standard Tesla plug, known as the North America Charging Standard, which has now been adopted by every car company selling EVs in North America. The plug is molded into the plastic rim around the left rear wheel, which avoids punching a hole in the stainless steel panel again. Another innovation is the battery pack is an 800 volt design, twice that of any previous Tesla, all of which run at 400 volts. Now this allows for faster charging at an 800 volt compatible Tesla version 4 supercharger, or it automatically splits the pack into two 400 volt packs for slightly slower charging at other superchargers or other non-Tesla fast DC chargers. The battery pack is made from special high-capacity version of Tesla's 4680 cells, which are used in the Model Y, being built in Austin too. There are 120 and 240 volt power outlets in the bed, making this a great power source for a job site, campground, tailgate party, or anywhere you happen to be, and power would be a good thing to have available. One item that Tesla has been behind other makers like Ford is the capability to have the vehicle send power out of the battery pack and into your house. This is good during power outages, or just to use it as a giant battery pack to take in solar power in the day and feed it back into the house at night. This feature does require some specific wiring in your house's electrical panel, but it's good to see Tesla finally jumping into this massively useful feature. The Cybertruck site shows a long list of accessories, including a tent, roof racks, and a light bar that shines 5 football fields ahead, controlled by the big screen, of course. By January 2024, Tesla was ramping up the assembly line and starting mass deliveries, with reports saying over 1,000 were delivered by then. Now they've got over 2 million pre-orders for it, which is something around 8 years of production at the initial rate of 250,000 a year out of the Gigafactory in Austin. But that'll scale up quickly. So there are definitely some buyers out there who like the style. Ford makes about 1 million F-150s a year. I wonder how many will be tempted to switch to a Cybertruck. Now I'm going to scroll through some snapshots from February to April from videos by Joe Techmeyer, who flies his drone around the Tesla Gigafactory in Austin almost every day. As we move through time, you can see the number of Cybertrucks around the site growing exponentially. Tesla says they want to scale to 250,000 a year, which is about 4,800 a week, or if you do the math, 1 every 2 minutes. And that's nuts. But it's possible to do this on one assembly line due to the die casting, bolt-on steel panels, and simple wire harness used in every one. Elon always says the factory is harder to make than the product, or as he calls it, the machine that builds the machine. Anything in the vehicle design that simplifies the manufacturing process is pure profit. All in all, it's a revolutionary vehicle, giving the best of a work truck, a family truck, and an electric vehicle, all rolled into one. Now, it's not perfect, and I've had years to think about the possibilities in the design, so here are the 4 things I think they missed on this initial launch. Hopefully somebody at Tesla will see this and make some adjustments in the near future. 1. A longer range in the base model. When used with a load or for towing, the range is going to go down, and it's good that there's an optional range extender, but more built-in range would be better. 2. A power outlet in the frunk for small fridges or power tool chargers or anything that you need up front inside the frunk. 3. An air compressor outlet for running air tools at the job site, or inflating tires after driving on the beach or pumping up a low or flat tire. The air compressor and tank system is already there, so it would be relatively easy to add this. And 4, the pricing massively jumped up from the reveal event. The initial prices were clearly way too low, and now they're getting some pushback for what I think are now realistic prices. But lower prices are always better, and we've seen Tesla react that way on the market. When they start ramping up, the prices start coming down. So what are your thoughts? Are you interested in getting one? Let me know in the comments below.
Just before we wrap up, I want to thank my Patreons, Peter Bouvier and Puppy, for their support. We also just popped over 2,000 subscribers, which is quite a nice milestone for my little channel. All support is greatly appreciated.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if so, please give it a thumbs up. I see that 81% of the viewers aren't subscribed. Please do, as it does help the YouTube algorithm. Take care and see you next time.